One, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Clifford Bauman uh, from Veterans Trash Talk, mental health warrior. Welcome, Clifford. Welcome to another episode of U.S. Military Veteran Suicide Prevention. We appreciate you. How are
Hey,
you today?
hey, I'm doing all right. As you guys know, I'm on vacation right now up in Rhode Island visiting the wife. She's still active duty military. So me and the boys came up here. So I've been in a couple of radio shows and stuff. So it's an important topic that I love to talk about. And I think it's important to talk about. Being a survivor myself, I continue to talk about the mission and importance of reducing the stigma with asking for help. That's why we're doing what we're doing, and we'll continue to do what we're doing because 22 a day, and I know that number is a lot higher than that, is way too many, and so we all do what we can to try to save others.
It's not an easy task, and it's a daily thing that we go through, and I know it can be one deal after another. Trying to save somebody's life and stuff like that is a hard task. So, we a lot of respect to you for what you're doing. I know the mental health department here for veterans is hard for people to understand what we do here, because when people hear suicide, they kind of get, it's a kind of a gray area. So when you hear people talk about mental health, it's kind of a gray area. A lot of people don't understand mental health. They don't understand suicide, because maybe one, they never have had any suicide thoughts, or they never had any mental health issues. So unless you personally have experienced some kind of mental health or suicide, or know someone close to you in your family, it's probably something that doesn't touch home for you. So you probably can't relate to it. And so people like me and Clifford, this is our department. This is our MOS. This is what we do on a daily basis. We're out here trying to get people the help and resources that they need. It's not an easy task. And, Clifford, we appreciate what you do every day, trying to help our veterans and the military community and stuff like that. So what would you do if you could try to help stop suicide? What would be the one step that you would take, Clifford?
Well, I think we're doing it now, right? I mean, so if you look back when my attempt was in 2002 and still on active duty, the military back then, if you had mental health issues, they would put you on med orders, and as well as I do, then they would chapter you out of the military. I was lucky that I had a leader that supported me getting help. We've come a long ways since then with mental health. But I think the hardest thing that we have to do, in not just in military, but with veterans, but society in a whole, is figure out how suicide became an option, right? When I grew up, suicide or taking your life was really shunned upon and looked down upon. And so, when I was having my issues and problems, it was a process that I went through with my PTSD. Nowadays, these young kids, it's a snap decision for them to make that. And what we have to do is get them to think for a second that there's another option, right? And
Right.
so if the world, according to Cliff, if I could do something to help, it's one, remove the stigma with asking for help, right? I wasn't brave enough to ask for help when I attempted. But also it's important to realize, that it's just a temporary issue that you're going through, right? And things will get better, and you will move on to do better things. We just have to get them to try to think for that second that life can be better.
Right. And when you're dealing with a dark time of your life, there's no light at the end of your tunnel. You're not going to see, when you're in your darkest minute of your darkest hour of your darkest day, you're going to think that's the end, and you're going to think the only way out is committing suicide for some people. But that's not the answer. But when you're deep down in this hole and you're reaching up for help and there's no help available, and you really think that there's no way out, taking your life sometimes is the only answer that some people have come to conclusion. But that's what we're trying to tell people. You don't have to do it. There's help available. There's other options.
Yeah.
And pain is temporary. It's only gonna be temporary. It's gonna pass. So anything that you're going through, it will pass. It will pass. Me personally.
No,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Yeah, I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna say, on season 2 of my podcast, The Mental Health Warrior, that's one thing I really was focusing on was mental pain, because our bodies inherently genetically will adapt to physical pain, right? And so it's the mental pain that we have to work hard on that makes us do things that we normally wouldn't do, right? And that's what we're talking about, right? And so,
Right.
I really wanted to focus on, what can we do to help with that mental pain, and so you don't go down that dark road, because I know what that road looks like, because I've been down that road, right? So I went from A and all the way you can get to Z without completing, that a person can go. And so I understand that. And so what I wanted to do really is when you're having mental health issues or PTSD issues or other things, just know that it's okay, right? I talked about this on the Veterans Voices Radio I was on last night, is PTSD affects everybody differently, right? And
Right.
just because it affects me differently than you, it doesn't make it any less, right? People always compare each other, but with PTSD and mental health issues, you can't really do that, because it's how you as a person define it. And I think we just need to understand that we're all different. We're all made differently. We're all wired differently. So what affects us is differently than others. And so we just have to understand that and know that not just one thing's going to fix the issue or problem. It's going to take multiple things to fix it. And I talk about this all the time is, you just need to have that good set of tools in your toolbox, right? And so you got to reach for it to grab what tool you need for that day, because every day it can change and be different.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you have to be prepared. And, when it comes to mental health, you have to know that every day you're going to be triggered at some point in your day. Something's going to happen that your mental health is going to be tested on a daily basis, every second of the day, every minute. And you have to be ready. You have to have that tool in your toolbox, like Clifford's saying, available for you for when it happens. For some people, it might be a counseling. For some people, it might be reaching out and calling and talk to Clifford. For other people, it might be some kind of medication. But you have to have something available for you that's going to help you get through this. For some people, that might be meditation, or for some people, that might be prayer. And so you need to have some way out of your issue when, it's pretty much like a breakdown for some people. You're having like a breakdown. If you're at the point where you're getting ready to commit suicide, or you feel some kind of emotionally unstable, you're having a breakdown, and you need to get through that breakdown until you realize what's really going on, because you're not going through whatever you're experiencing is another world. It's not reality, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you need to get through whatever realm you're in, whatever you're going through, to get back to reality. And so whether it's counseling, whether it's prayer, whether it's medication, one of those tools you need to use to get through until you can make it back into a stable mindset.
Yeah. That's really really good points. And just know that, as you go through that journey of recovery, right? And a lot of addicts say this, is sometimes that recovery, maybe some days you'll take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and some days you may take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But just know that you just need to stay the course, and things will get better. After my suicide attempt, I decided to focus on myself and not so much my military career. And that's really when, I started to make that turn. But it's a lifelong turn. It's not, something that you just won and done, right? And so it's something that you constantly need to work on and be aware of, because, you can't outrun your mind, right? And so if you have anxiety or other issues that creep in, and I talk about this on my podcast, is you have to be ready for that, when that happens, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, especially with PTSD, you can have a trigger that hits you, and it's the most vivid dream you've ever had that comes back in a second. And so you have to learn how to deal with those triggers in a positive manner. And some days you'll be better at it, and some days you won't be. And I had a lady come on my podcast. I was a yoga instructor, and that's really why I started doing yoga. And I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And so, I tell people all the time about New Year's resolutions, right? I'm not a New Year's resolution guy, because you just set yourself up for failure if you set up something too big. Like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I always say, just do something small. How about think about something small you can do today that'll make your mental health better. Maybe it's making your bed when you get out of the morning. Maybe it's just the fact that you woke up and you slept maybe 3 hours instead of 4 hours, or maybe you slept 4 hours instead of 3 hours, or just whatever that little win is for you. Find that in each and every day and just kind of build upon that. I think sometimes people try to take too big of steps, and especially with recovery or PTSD, sometimes it's the small steps that really benefit you more than taking the real big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You really need to readjust with your life, when you have some stuff going on, and figure out who you are. I like to do groundwork. If I'm going through something, I'll go through my grounding, and, I'll try to hold on to something, and I'll just say, my name is Rob Lason, I'm 40 something years old. I'm from, New Jersey. I'm military, and you really got to do the groundwork and kind of bring yourself back if you're going through some kind of emotional distress, or like a breakdown, some kind of like a breakdown, like where you just need to readjust who you are, because there's been a lot of times where you just forget where you are, you forget who you are, and when stuff starts flashing in front of you and stuff, you kind of aren't prepared to take care of what you have going on. On a daily basis, we're every day we're going through something and being tested. We're being tested by our peers. We're being tested by evil spirits. We're being tested by the unknown, things that we can't even control. We're just being untested every day. The minute you leave your house, there's people that'll cut you off in line, or cut you off in traffic, or give you the finger, in traffic, or they'll kind of step on your toe when you're walking by. You know what I mean? So on a daily basis, or if you're trying to catch the train in the morning, there's somebody that's going to jump in front of you, and then you end up missing your train, and then you're late for work, and you don't get there. So throughout your day, you're just tested, and so you have to be able to control your mental health. You're going to have to be able to control what you say to people, and you have to try to stay vigilant in who you are, and don't let anything affect you. You have to be mentally strong. And so the world and the odds are against each and every single one of us every day. The odds are not in our favor when it comes to mental health, especially we have more 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. Suicides are on a rise right now. They're not on a decline, they're on a rise. So mental health we're at more of a mental health stigma now in 2023 than the last 100 years. So it's getting worse, and we just need to be able to have some kind of you got to have your armor, you got to have your chest plate, you got to be ready for battle. You got to be full battle rattle to take on this mental health stuff, so.
Well, and then, you bring up some good points, but, also, especially for me, why is it when things are going good, that brings more anxiety than it does if things are going bad? And I think for a lot of people, especially for veterans, I think they have an issue with that. I think when things are going too good, and as silly as it sounds, and I've talked about this, is, sometimes that gives you more anxiety than if things are going bad. And why is that? Well, there's many reasons why, but that's something that I've had to, personally work through and get those demons out, knowing that just because something's going good doesn't mean something bad's going to happen around the corner. right? And we all think that sometimes. And so just knowing it and doing it is hard some days. Um, but it's just something that for people listening, that it's just important to know that it's okay, right? And we talk about that all the time. It's okay not to be okay. I talk about that on my podcast. I'm sure you talk about it. But if you're that person and you're having issues and problems, know that's okay to talk with somebody about it. Talk with a friend or a family member or maybe a stranger. I don't know, talk to anybody. Or there's an app on my phone that I use called EarKick, and I had the maker of that on my podcast a couple of times, and it's probably the best mental health app I've ever came across in the 12 years that I've been doing this. And what's great about it is it has different techniques on there for you can speak or write your journal, and I journal daily in it. But it also keeps a record of it. So it keeps a record of the weather, it keeps a record of what's going on and the metrics on the background. Now, you're the only one that can see that. And so if you're like, well, I don't understand why January I'm always depressed, right? Well, then you go back and you look at the record here that you did journaling last year, and you find out, oh, well, January was 70% more cloudy, the temperature was below normal. And so maybe it's because you have less sun than what you normally do. Maybe that's what's triggering you to be more depressed, because we know people have that. But what's another great feature about that is it has an anxiety video. And this video is about 7 minutes long. And when you get ramped up in anxiety, your heart rate can go through the roof and your mind's racing. And all of a sudden you just start shutting down, right? Because you go into fight or flight mode. Well, this guy in this video, he does a great job in talking about that you're just a train conductor and you're inside of a tunnel. When you talked about getting on the train, this popped in my mind. It is, you have all these trains and they're your thoughts that are racing by, right? And you're inside this tunnel. All these trains are coming in. And he says, as the conductor, you can control what goes out and what comes in. And he says, so if you're just having those anxiety thoughts, just let those trains go by. Because really, if it's just a thought, there's no thought that's ever killed anybody, right? It's just a thought. It can make your heart race, make you dry mouth, it can make you all kinds of things, but that's not going to kill you. And so you have to learn how to control those thoughts and those racing thoughts when they happen, because they kind of pile up on each other. And he was just saying, just let them go by. And then, of course, along with that, he's having you doing breathing techniques. And, and one thing you brought up was grounding, right? And grounding, I think, is important. And one thing I do with grounding is I take my hands and I place them on my legs and I put my feet flat on the ground. And I just close my eyes and I concentrate on my hands. I don't know if you've ever done this before, Rob, but when you just concentrate on your hands, after a while, your hands will feel like they're falling asleep. They'll get tingly. It's the weirdest thing. Well, that means you're grounded. And it's amazing how fast your anxiety goes away just by doing that. And that's something you can do 4 or 5 times a day whenever you feel it.
Wow.
Taking your shoes off and go walking, around in the grass. This is something I've been studying here recently. Is this guy did years and years of studying, and it's called earthing. Have you heard about this?
No.
That we have, because of wearing shoes, we lost our contact with the earth, and our bodies are electrical. And he says we're not getting enough electrons to cure our body. And they did 20 years of studies, and this is something I've been reading about. And so you think about, and my brother brought this up the other day, homeless people or somebody like this, and it talks about how it can help with anxiety. So I'm a guy who inherently hardly ever gets sick, but I'm also a guy who inherently hardly ever wears shoes. I'm outside in the wintertime barefooted. I'm barefooted a lot. And he talks about the importance of that. But, it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is just trying something new. And I'm trying to, for myself, start taking less medications, right? And so through my doctors and other things, I'm working on not self-medicating, but I'm working with my doctors to come off all my medications, which I have now this year. And so I just try all these different techniques. And I think if you have a lot of issues and problems, we get too tunnel vision in our thinking of healing. And I think sometimes just thinking outside the box on a couple of things can really help a lot. And I think, there's functional doctors out there in holistic medicine. But you think about it, for thousands of years, we got all of our medicine from the earth, right? We grew it with gardens and things like that. And so, I know I kind of went on a tangent, but it's just something to think about differently, right? And I think it's important. And when you're having issues and problems, and you're kind of stuck in that the arena, just do something different. Go
The
out.
area you're in. Sometimes you're in a situation that you can't get out of, and you're never going to be able to get out of unless you leave. Some people can't handle things, and they're not in a situation to where they can be handled. Like I said, for the most part, everything is against our odds. We all have bad odds when it comes to certain things, whether it's a job, whether it's anything. It could be your family, it could be your mental health, your physical health. The odds are against us in so many different ways, and so if you're not getting the help that you need to change. Whether it's a room, a city. Some people like to move down south for more opportunities, to Texas, or there's a lot of beautiful places you can move. I know a lot of people up north might get depressed because, the cold weather. Yeah. And even just moving down south where it's warmer, you can be more happier. Just being in a better, warmer climate around different people who are happy, because people down south I know for Texas, they're happy, and they're happy,
Until summer comes, and then they complain about being too hot.
Yeah. But they don't have that cold weather beating down on them either.
No, they don't. That's true.
Yeah. So, and it's different for some people, but sometimes, yeah, and like you said, it's not that you can't go back to that room, but you should definitely move around, get a different grasp on the community, on yourself. Take a spiritual journey through America. Travel a couple of cities, go see some things, see some people, experience some stuff that you never experienced before, meet people that you never met before, see what it's out there. There's a big world out there. You don't have to stay in your Pandora box. Yeah. You don't have, open your box, go explore the world, go explore your cities, go see what's out there, get them things off your mind, because there's a lot of beautiful and joyful things out there that you can connect with, outside of what your typical situation is. For some people, they're stuck in a bad spot. They might be living with their parents, or living with their cousins, or living with their family, and they've been stuck there. They're not working. Now they're depressed because they don't have a job. They're depressed because they don't have their own home, or they don't have their own car, or they don't have a girlfriend, or for whatever reason they're getting down and out and depressed. You got to get out of that situation. You can't stay in that same situation. You gotta kind of, and if you're not being helped, if you're in a bad spot and the people around you aren't helping you, then you cannot depend on the people around you. And that's what suicide is. That's where suicide comes into play. When the people who are around you aren't helping you, that's when people start taking their own life. So, because if the people,
that's the hard thing too. Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
When the people closest to you aren't able to let you know that your life is in danger, and you're about to take your own life, or you're in a bad spot, you need to make sure you're around people who care about you. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, too, as you're going through recovery and stuff, that sometimes you have to change your friends, because sometimes they can be your own worst enemy as you're going through recovery. Because if they have their own issues and problems, then they don't want to see you happy. And then how true a friend are they? I've lost friends through my recovery early on, just because not that they was doing anything mean or bad. It was just that they wasn't ready for the recovery themselves, and so they would try to sabotage my recovery because they wasn't ready yet. And I think for a lot of people, when you go through recovery, that's hard, because you thought these people were your friends, and then as you get better and they don't, you realize that they wasn't really your friends, and it could have been somebody you've known your whole entire life. So that makes it hard too.
Yeah, well, a lot of these friends that are friends are really maybe just people you drink with. They're just people you meet at the bar, and they're drinking buddies, and they're your friends. As long as you're at the bar drinking, buying drinks, they're your buddy, making beer runs with you and stuff like that. But the minute you try to clean your act up, or get, like you said, get sober or something, they're not around anymore. You don't really have any friends, and that's probably a lot of people who experience and go through a lot of mental health are people trying to get sober too. And so, like, you really figure out who your friends are when you're getting sober and stuff. So you need to, I was watching a church service on TV, and it says, you need to be part of a church. And not only that, but you need to be part of a small group, which is a good small group would be, a couple people who you pray with on a weekly or daily basis, outside of church, because, church is considered a church where you go on Sunday, but a church can be anywhere. It can be at your house with your friends in your small group praying, or it can be at a park somewhere with your small group praying. So a church isn't just somewhere you go on Sundays. You can go to church all week. So
Yeah. Well, and that's something that here this year also I started going back to church with my son, and we found just a nice little church that reminded me of the church I used to go to as a kid, and just to have that different social interaction once a week, I think also is, for me, it was helpful. And of course I do yoga, and that's another social interaction. But when I retired out of the military after 34 years in 2021, I kind of lost my identity, and I didn't realize it. Because I was always the sociable guy, but now I'm retired and I'm at home alone with my 8-year-old boy, because I have an 8-year-old son, and then my oldest son, he left to go to college this year, so it's just me and Lloyd at home a lot. And so I lost that social interaction. I didn't realize what a profound effect that it had on me. And then I started having anxiety all over these little stupid things. And it's just like, my shoulder was hurting, oh, well, I got bone cancer, or my back was hurting, or I got this, or my heart rate was 3 beats higher than it normally is. It's normally 59, and it was 63 that day. It would set my mind in a tizzy, and it was all because it was trying to find a way to fill these gaps that I didn't have anymore. And I think that's a hard thing to learn to do. And so I had to redo things to try to fill those gaps to keep my mind from, running off in stupid tangents. And it happens, and it's hard to control that. And I think if anybody's listening, I think, and maybe you are too, you can attest to that that sometimes that happens that way.
yeah, I mean, absolutely, and things when they happen that way, it's for a purpose. Everything that happens is for a purpose. And so, I know I was praying the other day, and I prayed, for God to challenge me, and so, like, a lot of the stuff that's been going on with me have been a lot of challenges in my life, and so he's been putting me through a lot of different things lately, that has just been challenging me. So, like, you just got to make it through whatever you're going through is a challenge. You have to be ready and prepared for whatever's going on, and you have to be ready to overcome whatever situation that you're in. And it doesn't mean that you need to win. We're not here to. This isn't a winning thing. We're talking. You just need to be able to walking away from something is a win. But you just need to learn how to deal, adapt, and overcome whatever situation that you have going on. So, I hope that everybody
need to learn to, the past is in the past. You can't change the past. You can't go back to the past. You can learn from it, but you can't dwell in it. And so you have to learn how to move forward from that, and just know that, your past defined who you are then, but it doesn't define who you are now. And I think for a lot of people, as they go through that change, past keeps sneaking in on them. And you just have to learn how to keep the past in the past, and then keep the present in the present, right? Because the present's a gift, because it's present, it's today. And so you can make today good, you can make today bad. You choose if you want to be happy or not. It's that simple.
Yeah, the choice is yours. Everything that we do is a choice. And so you just need to choose wisely. You need to make a wise choice on what you're gonna do. with your life, and so dealing with this type of stuff, I know even going through sobriety and stuff, because I'm going through my sobriety, so I can talk about that. But every minute,
reach to me, through all my social media. I'm an army of one, so I'm the only one that does it. But yeah, just CliffordBauman.com. You can find me on all my social media, and then of course, with Veterans Trash Talk, that community was made and developed so veterans can go out and have a safe place to go out and talk about whatever is going on in their lives. So and there's a lot of social media platforms out there that you can go and use for that. But just find a safe place that works for you. A lot of people don't know about NAMI. NAMI is the National Legion for mental health or mental illness. That's a free thing you can use so we can join online groups, and that's something I do every other Thursday. And I have joined it with a group of people who I don't even know, and we just get on and have a conversation like we're having about different issues and problems going on. And that's a nice, and that nothing's kept records wise or anything like that. So there's programs out there if people just want to take the time to look for them to get the help that they need.
So NAMI, it's like a virtual
it's
panel.
Yeah,
like a virtual talk panel.
Brain cramp. I should know about it because I do speaking. Give me a second. I'm gonna look it up on it. So
yeah, no problem.
Get the name right. So you can go to NAMI.org. It's a National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Right.
They're nationwide, and they've been around since 1979. And so you can go on to NAMI.org, and you can look up by your state, by your county, and you can find a group that you can join. And it's just a Zoom call. So they have in-person too, or Zoom call. And you can just join a group of people, and like my group meets every 2 weeks, and there's people from the main group's in Ohio, but I'm in Virginia, but I still Zoom in. But they have people from Canada that call in, that have different issues and problems, and so that's and it's free.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's free. So that's a nice resource you can use. And there's also a lot of local resources too. But just find something that works for you. And if you just like to be anonymous, and some people get on the Zoom call and they don't turn their cameras on. You just hear their voice, and that's okay too. They don't care.
So you can just listen. Yeah, that's a really NAMI seems like a really good thing.
Yeah. So just go to NAMI. I think it's NAMI.org.
Yeah, NAMI.org.
NAMI. Yep. And you can search and find a group near to you. And this is what the website looks like. That's the camera though. I don't think my blue screen will let me do it. No. Kind of. No, it won't let me do it because it's blue. So that's why it's not picking up.
You said, hold on. You said NAMI.
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 MikeIndia.org. www.
www.
Yeah. November Alpha, Mike India.
Hold on. Now at www.
.NAMI, November Alpha, Mike India. MI. NAMI.
Is it? Hold on. Is this it right here?
Let's see. Hold it up. I don't see nothing.
You said NANIANI?
No, NAMI. Just 4 letters.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, NANI. Okay.
Yeah, NAMI.
Oh, NAMI.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on. Save. And this is a free website. It's a group. It's a free group. NAMI.org. www.NAMI.org. Where anybody who's having a mental health issue, thought, or just wants to chime in, and it's like a counseling group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
anonymous
in your
session.
Area, in your state, or you can find one outside your area and state, and you can just do a search and find them inside there, and you'll find.
And this is. And this is like anybody in the world, anybody in the States, anybody who wants to tune
Like I said,
in.
we had people from Nova Scotia and Canada that was in our group that
Okay.
just randomly joined.
Okay. So
So,
anybody can tune in.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you guys can listen to other peers talk about what you guys got going on, and it's anonymous.
Hmm.
You don't have to ask questions. You can just listen. You can leave this. You can turn your screen off and just listen, and definitely be anonymous. They won't see you or hear you,
Hmm.
and you can get some good information and get some firsthand.
Yeah, it's amazing that
Because
they've been around since the 70s and how many people don't know about them.
wow, okay.
Hmm.
So they've been doing like group sessions
For a
for
long time.
people.
Yeah, I think it was started by a group of mothers, if I remember right. But yeah. So but that's a good, easy resource for people to use. If you just wanted to have somebody to talk with or support group, you can go out and find it very easy. So, and it's something I know of because I use it, right? So I'm not just saying
Right.
that's something that Cliff Bauman uses. And so, in June I'll go out to the Ohio NAMI group, and I did a speaking event last year for them, and I'll do it again this year. They have a little event there. It's just a small town, but that's fine. But I'll go out and do a speaking event for them this year, like I did last year. So, it's important. And I think it's just nice to you can participate as much as you want or as little as you want. There's some people that talk a lot, and there's some people that don't talk a lot, and that's okay. It's just like in I don't know, an AA meeting or just whatever. Some people talk a lot and some people don't. Some weeks people talk more than others. Man, that's okay. It's another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That seems like a really good thing. I'm gonna hop on there after this podcast and go chime in and see what some people are talking about on there.
Yeah, check it out and let me know what you think. I'm sure you can find a area in your location. What's good about it, though, is you can be traveling or anywhere, and when they have their meeting, and people set the meetings up at different times. Ours just happened to be on Thursday. You know, you can chime into any area, any meeting. I think you have to. For me, I just had to send an email to the person, and then she lets me in. Then she sends me the Zoom call invite every week. So, but you go on the website, you'll figure it out. But yeah, once you figure it out, let me know how it is, Rob. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you think about it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I will. Thanks, Clifford. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we appreciate you being on the show, Cliff. You're really amazing what you're doing with the community, what you're doing with mental health, and how you're trying to help everybody, active military, and it seems like veterans and civilians too. So,
Well, we're all one big family, and as we end this, Rob, I just want to say, hey, I just want to let you know that even if you don't think you are, you're important to somebody. And that somebody wants you here tomorrow and they love you. So please give them a chance to give you the help if you need help at that moment in time. And I just wanted to end with that.
God bless you, Clifford. We appreciate you. We love you, Clifford. Thank you for coming on. We
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
you, brother.
Appreciate it. Yep. Take care.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Yep.